Well, hi everybody. This is Jonathan Kuttner, and we're living in unprecedented times, really, for everybody. The world has never been quite where we are. Um, I am living in New Zealand, and in New Zealand, from last night, our government instituted a lockdown for everybody in the country. So basically, everybody is in their house unless they have an extremely good reason to go outside. And all the other things, the hand washing and wearing of masks and so on, if you do go outside. So um, it's very strange. And I think one of the big things that happens under these circumstances is that um, if you're, especially if you're on your own, but even if you're a family, everybody gets cabin fever. And to a degree, I think what's going to keep us sane is connection. So what I've decided to do is to have a talk, uh, a just sit down and have a powwow. In Africa, there's a beautiful word. I grew up in South Africa, and there's a beautiful word called indaba. So we're going to have an indaba, which is where just a group of friends sit down and we just talk about whatever's important to us. And it's a true conversation, not just minor things, but important stuff. So I thought I'll do this a few times a week. And what I really, really welcome is that anybody who, I mean, if there's something that arises from my talk that you want to discuss further, please post any questions below. And if you have any other topics that you think would be worthy of discussion, and that's the rules are there are no rules. If you have any other topics that are worthy of discussion, then please post that and I will talk about it. I will do some reading and some thinking about it, and then I'll talk about it. And it's all about, for all of us to stay connected, not to feel isolated, not to allow the anxiety, the things that we don't know to overwhelm us and to affect our mental health and therefore our physical health as well. So today, what I thought I'd talk about is really what I think is the best article about coronavirus or COVID-19 that I've read. And it was an article written by somebody called Thomas Pueyo, Pueyo, and it came out a little while ago. But what he's written has really, it's one of these things where someone very, very smart puts everything together and puts it into a context. And then as time goes out, it turns out that that person was correct. And the subject of the title of the talk was The Hammer and the Dance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my screen. And so we'll share it because now you can see my screen. And in essence, what the talk was about, or what the article was about, was the options that every country has. Now, this he did a while ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like every day is a huge thing. But here we are. So in essence, there are options that every country has and every area has. So the first is the virus begins, and then if you do nothing, it just continues an exponential growth upwards. So do nothing is, we all agree, a really bad option. The second option that people had was something which was called mitigation, which was to do a little bit, do a bit of this, do a bit of that. And the results of mitigation in the countries that chose to do it were like that, which is also just completely unacceptable. So the third option he called the hammer. And the hammer is you, in the country, you jump in and you do what New Zealand's done now, what China did amazingly well, what Korea did, what Singapore, Hong Kong, the countries and the areas where the virus was swooping upwards, and then it turned round and it came down. And the real key is this concept, which is called the R factor. And the R factor is how spreadable is the virus. So, and the R factor, because it's called a factor, is given a number. If the R factor is 1 or less, the virus, the number of people getting the virus will flatten off. If it comes to 1, it'll stay like this. And if it gets less than 1, it'll start to decline. The faster, the smaller the R, in other words, the more you limit the ability of the virus to spread, the more that it will swoop downwards. And in China, they got it down to 0.32, which means that the virus is heading down under those circumstances to extinction. It's going to disappear. Now, so that's the hammer. And what people have found is that there are a lot of things that are needed to be done. And if you took, say, an example, my country, New Zealand, which is a small country with people, in cities, but spread a lot of it spread out over quite a big area. So everything is easier here, and we're later. So we've only got 200 cases, and at this point, what they've done is, and this is all part of the hammer to truly stop that going up, is that you stop people coming in, because that was the main reason that coronavirus came into New Zealand. So international air flight has been stopped. People are given a directive to stay in their homes with what is called their little bubble. And their little bubble, or their little cohort, is the people that you live with. That's all. You are, for people who live on their own, they may join a slightly bigger bubble, but everyone in there has to be responsible. And the things then are to stop spread are social distancing. So if you do come, if there are people there, you stand at least 2 meters apart. If you've come into contact with anything, you wash your hands while singing happy birthday twice with soap and water. If you're in an area where there are more people and people may be coughing and there's droplet spread, you wear a mask, and you designate somebody to go out once a week or whenever is necessary. Either you can only go to the doctor for an urgent reason, or to the pharmacy to collect medication that you have to get, and to get food. That's it. So everything just gets completely shut down. Under those circumstances, that's a hammer. And what will happen in New Zealand, and hopefully in other countries where this is instituted, is the amount of illness and the consequences of this incredibly serious disease will in fact diminish, and the number of cases will get down. Now is the crunch. So that's called the hammer. Now, once it's down, it's not over. And that, I think, is really the key. And in the Imperial College, they did a study where they looked at what would happen if the moment you got it down, everyone said, it's all gone, and we can now just go back to the way we always lived. What will happen is after a month or two, it'll spike up again, and you'll be into the same because the virus hasn't gone away. It's just that because you're limiting it, the virus itself hasn't the ability to spread. But if everyone starts again, there'll be enough virus in the community to actually allow it to run out of control again. So then the second part is what he called the dance. And the dance is that, and this will be different for each country and for each area. So once the incidence of the virus has gone right down, there are no new cases. You have to have no new cases. We're way down here. Then you have to, and this is number one, keep that R level below 1. And the way that they do that is that people continue to do, so you can start coming out of your house. It's like you come out of hibernation, and you can start to do more and more things, always watching. So you're doing regular testing, and you're making absolutely darn sure that anybody who was infected is following the rules and is quarantined. You're isolating it. Everyone's still washing their hands. Large public gatherings, only small, and everyone's keeping a distance, and if necessary, using a mask, and so on. So you are doing the minimum amount of stuff to keep the level down below 1. Under those circumstances, what will happen over time is that gradually an increasing number of people are going to catch this virus, but it will never exceed the capability of the health services to look after it. And then slowly you will get a herd immunity. We will become increasingly, we will make antibodies, and we will become increasingly immune to this virus. The thing that we don't know at this stage is whether the virus itself is going to, we've seen already that there have been small mutations, small changes in the virus, and it may well be that, like the flu, a vaccine will be produced. If the virus has this mutation, this genetic drift, then it may be that the vaccination might have to be done yearly or 2 yearly. We will work it all out. The real key is this concept, the hammer to bring stop the huge surge of numbers and the terrible situation that's occurred in Italy and Spain. And once it's down, to recognize that that's not the end, but to find out what is the least amount of stuff that we have to do to keep that R number down below 1, and therefore slowly allow herd immunity to occur. And then it'll be yet just another virus, and life will come back, maybe never to normal, which I think is a very good thing. I think that what we've learnt from this is we've learnt how to care. We've stopped our headlong rush towards, perhaps it was a cliff. I'm hoping that the lessons we learn here, we will be able to bring into our society to make it more caring, to bring families together, to bring connection between people, and to stop chasing something which in fact was making us more and more anxious, more and more unhappy. These are my thoughts for today. I'm going to be doing a regular talk, sort of 2 or 3 times a week, and I would really, really appreciate if people could put comments below, which I can answer, so we can have a conversation, could suggest other topics that they would like. The topics can be medical or non-medical. So much nicer to have feedback, to get where people are at, and then to have a conversation. That would be very, very rich. I'll be talking again in a few days' time. Thank you very much.